The Wall Street Journal has reported that preparations to list Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil giant Aramco seem to have stalled. The IPO, first proposed by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in 2016, was originally meant to happen last year, but it's been pushed back several times since then, most recently to 2019. The Journal cited people close to the matter as saying both Aramco and Saudi Arabia are not ready for an IPO that could raise up to $100 billion. A spokesman for Aramco declined to comment on the matter. The IPO was at the heart of the kingdom's plan to open up its economy. Now, back in October 2016, Money Talks spoke to Aramco's CEO, Amin Nasser. He was optimistic at that time that the listing was on track.
Everything is on track. We said before that we will be ready to go to the market in 2018. That's not changed. Still the case to go to the market at that date. And as I said earlier this morning, we will be listing in the Saudi market in Tadawul, and we'll be listing in other markets as well. We are looking at all markets. We're looking at New York, we're looking at Hong Kong, we're looking at London, we're looking at Tokyo, we're looking at all. We are in the evaluation part phase now. Aramco, in terms of the way we do business, should not be difficult for us to produce our financial statements on a quarterly basis, similar to other listed companies, and the work is ongoing. As I said, 2017 we will start producing them internally within the company on a quarterly basis and avail them to potential investors if deemed required.
And TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, joins me now from Paris for more on this. Hello there, Craig. You and I have been talking about Saudi Aramco for years now, haven't we? But right from the start, I think we both realized that it was going to be a problematic listing. And the main reason for that was going to be transparency. But people like Mr. Amin Nasser, who we just heard there, the CEO, was saying that they adhere to international reporting standards. So what happened between then and now?
Well, I think we should expand that as the people we were talking to, who were many of the consultants who had gone down there to do the early work on this, were telling us that this was a pipe dream. This whole idea started in 2015. And as you said, the Saudis were not willing to accept the legal risks, the transparency, possible losses that would come on listing Aramco on a major exchange. And quite frankly, the senior executives at Aramco and many people in the royal family did not want this to happen in the first place.
Now, Craig, one of the original reasons for proposing this IPO was to plug a big hole in the Saudi government's finances. I think we can take a look at the price of oil over the last 5 years. And that deficit was mainly caused by a big drop in the price of oil from about 2014. Prices have recovered, as we can see there, partially, certainly not up to over $100 a barrel that we had back then. But does this then mean that Saudi Arabia no longer needs the additional cash that would have been raised in the Aramco IPO?
Well, they will need the additional cash if they want to institute Prince Salman's Saudi Vision 2030. But there are four key facts that operate here. Saudi Arabia controls the largest share of the world's oil and serves as the market regulator, for the global petroleum industry. The United States consumes more oil and is more dependent on Saudi oil than any other country. Now, this Aramco offering, actually, it was never fashionable. It was never sexy. And the United States, from what we were told throughout this plan that they were trying to execute, didn't want that oil spigot either shut off or controlled by others because they felt that that was quite devastating. So what we're still left with here is Saudi oil is controlled by an increasingly bankrupt country that's with a royal family that's really out of touch with Western norms.
You say that the US is dependent on Saudi Arabia for its oil, but that perhaps was the case many years ago, but since the shale boom, America has increasingly become very independent. And doesn't that contribute to another reason why perhaps the Aramco IPO may not be as well received as originally thought?
Well, I don't think anyone ever wanted to see this offering well received or on any market. Look, you're right about the shale oil, but Saudi Arabia is going to run out of oil in about 70 years, according to most of the analysts. And what you have here is remember something, oil is really a controlled business. There's 5 extended families in the Middle East who own about 60% of the world's oil. And the Saudis control a third of that 60%. Now, there are 40,000 Saudi royals, give or take, and oil supports the privileges they enjoy. In fact, Saudi is the world's most advanced welfare state, if you think of it. Now, with all the recent arrests that took place down there, Prince Salman putting his enemies in the Ritz-Carlton, there's still people there. This was never the type of initial public offering that anyone with any horse sense would want to get involved in. The Saudis just would never open up their books. And if they did, whatever oil they have left, that whole operation would have been in jeopardy.
Yeah. Craig, if this is confirmed that the Aramco IPO is in trouble, it's also going to be bad news for a lot of exchanges, stock exchanges around the world that had been vying for a slice of the action. I'm thinking London, New York, Hong Kong, possibly even Singapore.
My understanding is that that was all a little stage drama. These exchanges weren't vying for this. These exchanges knew this was never going to happen for the simple reason that listing on the New York Stock Exchange or in London, the Saudis could never meet the bar of transparency required to be on there. That's why they started talking about Hong Kong. Now, I still think that, as we have discussed before, that there's a chance that the Chinese might come in and take and invest in this.
Yeah.
Remember, this IPO is the fulcrum of Prince Salman's attempt to modernize the country, and now it appears it's over.
Craig, and I'm afraid we're out of time right there. Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you so much.